All right, so this track is called Say No Names, and the reason I wrote this is because it's like, you know, sometimes we read the Word of God, and some of y'all will begin to find out as you get into the Word of God, it's like you start reading the scriptures, and stuff just starts jumping out at you. Jesus said something, maybe Pastor Chad was preaching, maybe something tonight that Pastor Aaron says, listen, y'all, jumps out at you. But it's like, it cuts right to the core, right to your heart, and you start feeling like, yo, how do you know that? How did he know? Did somebody tell him? Right? And so this track is called Say No Names. And it says this, yo, when I open my mouth and the truth comes out, look, I ain't gonna say no names. But when they staring back at you, when they asking who, look, I ain't gonna say no names. And when them critics come flying through them open doors and want to know who I wrote this for, and they got their magnifying glass scoping the floor looking for clues, I won't say no names. So I just need y'all to help me out on the hook with that. Is that cool? All right, go ahead, hit that. So in this first verse, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my past real quick. And it's like this. Hey, yo, I used to holler out, hey, homie, where the groupies at? And rent from Blockbuster, still ain't take the movies back. Hanging off a girl's shoulders like a Gucci strap. Don't get caught up, little homie, it's a booby trap. I've been there, done that, ain't going back again. Got a red dot on my head like I'm from Pakistan, cause now I'm the enemy's target. You wanna sing and dance, you can end up on Broadway. Have you sweating bullets like the end of a long day? Pow while your mom's at church with her arms raised. This is for the dude that's puffing at Bombay. And you over there, man, you don't belong gay. I know that them psychers try to asking for the lottery pick. I bet they give you the long face, cause they don't really know what the truth is. It's like Finding Nemo. Don't be as dumb as that bluefish. When I open my mouth and the truth comes out, look, I ain't gonna say no names. But when they staring back at you and they asking who, look, I ain't gonna say no names. And when them critics come flying through them open doors and wanna know who I wrote this for, and they got their magnifying glass scoping the floor looking for clues, I won't say no names. Hey yo, from pancakes in the morning and watching your mama wake up to peace, you gone like Assalamu alaikum. Ain't gotta be a Muslim to go to an early grave, but you better know Jesus to go through them pearly gates. You could be the next to die, I'ma be the next to fly. Like Jordan opened up his wings and he stretched them wide. Tongue hanging out his mouth, he jumps, he going extra high. Nobody blocks his shot, everyone just steps aside. He's coming back down, gravity is taking over. 1 second on the clock, slam dunk, game is over. Kids screaming, grown men wild and they jumping out they chairs. Feels like it's raining inside, they dumping out their beers. This is how victory looks. I got plans for the future that'll have history shook, but you'll never guess they ended like a mystery book. And in case you didn't get the verse, I'ma get you the hook. When I open my mouth and the truth comes out, look, I ain't gonna say no names. But when they staring back at you and they asking who, look, I ain't gonna say no names. And when them critics come flying through them open doors and wanna know who I wrote this for, and they got their magnifying glass scoping the floor looking for clues, I won't say no names. Everybody loved Jesus when the Passion came out, but when the lights went on, they went back in their house, beat their kids, started smacking their spouse. To find crackhead, you'll sell your family for a half of an ounce. You ain't addicted, you could quit at the drop of a dime. You ain't abusive, you just hit her when she hops in the line. You ain't drunk, everybody falls out of their chairs. Silly kids, why they keep falling down from those stairs? I smoked a pound in it, yeah, puffed until my memory's gone. Forget my keys, can't remember my songs. Late for work cause I forget the alarm, and I forget your name too if I tattooed it to the left of my arm. But today is here now, and yesterday's gone, so I forget about my past and I press for them all. You ain't alive cause your dad had sex with your moms. You was born to be great, not destined to fall. So when I open my mouth and the truth comes out, look, I ain't gonna say no names. But when they staring back at you and they asking who, look, I ain't gonna say no names. And when them critics come flying through them open doors and wanna know who I wrote this for, and they got their magnifying glass scoping the floor looking for clues, I won't say no names. This song right here is about some of the decisions we make. Listen, I want y'all listening to the lyrics on this one. Let me tell you a story, check it. Hey yo, I seen this young girl walking through my complex. She's someone's daughter, but to me, she's just an object. She makes my heart start to pound and my palms sweat. I said, mommy, shake that thing like the song says. She turned around in the heat of the moment. I put my hands in my back pocket, reach for the Trojan. That's when she smiled and she hollered at me. I'm feeling good, something like a Rottweiler heat. And so I asked her, what's good, what's jumping tonight? She said, a party at my friend's house, come if you like. I'm like, cool, I'ma come by 10. But I showed up about 12, cause I knew she'd be drunk by then. So I stepped up in the house, like, come on girl, let's get it cracking. Took her to the bedroom, listen, this what happened. We had sex until the sun came up, but the next day something came up. Man, I wasn't feeling right, and so I had to get tested. Standing in the doctor's office like, man, I'm stressing. And I'm still trying to figure out how to handle his message. He said I got an STD and she pregnant. This is what happens when you don't think, when you act like you ain't human, like you won't bleed. And it's the message that they don't preach. Don't get mad, just pray for me. Just pray for me. This is what happens when you don't think, when you act like you ain't human, like you won't bleed. And it's the message that they don't preach. Don't get mad, just pray for me. Hey yo, in high school, I had a best friend by the name of Gordon. He had a baby face, the girls used to say he's gorgeous. It was polygamy, the way he used to lay with Mormons, whisper in their ear until they bought his favorite Jordans. Man, I mean, I'm saying he would take advantage and sit back and watch the whole thing on a tape and camera. He would ask who's next, and they would raise their hands up. I guess his belt ain't fitting me, couldn't keep his pants up. One day this girl came by when we were smoking trees. She talked a lot of game and then got on both her knees. She did some things, some of which I am not saying. Save the details, let's just say that she was not praying. We never took the time to think about her feelings much. In our mind, we were men and she was still a slut. We never knew what pain to her when she was crying out. She hung herself from a tree right behind the house. A lot of people would say, at least you didn't hurt her. But I believe in God's eyes, we committed murder. I think about her when I'm driving through that part of town. I found Jesus, I'm just praying for my daughter now. This is what happens when you don't think, when you act like you ain't human, like you won't bleed. And it's the message that they don't preach. Don't get mad, just pray for me. Just pray for me. This is what happens when you don't think, when you act like you ain't human, like you won't bleed. And it's the message that they don't preach. Don't get mad, just pray for me. Just pray for me. This is what happens when you don't think, when you act like you ain't human, like go ahead, turn it down. And it's the message that they don't preach. Don't get mad, just pray. This is what happens when you don't think, when you act like you ain't human, like you won't bleed. And it's the message that they don't preach. Don't get mad, just pray for me. The reason I wrote that song, I know some of y'all was listening like, yo, what is he saying? The reason I wrote that song is because I work for a job called Crisis Pregnancy Center. And I've come to find out that 50 million Americans have herpes. 1 in 4 teenagers will graduate with an STD. 1 in 3 will have one by the age of 24. If you take every single person in the United States and find out what the reality of it is, here's the statistic. 1 in 4 people, period, in the United States have an STD. So I thought it important enough to write a song that says, this is what happens when you don't think, when you act like you ain't human, like you won't bleed, and this the message that they don't preach. Don't get mad, just pray for me. Listen. I don't know if you caught that last verse or not, but it says I messed around with a girl in high school. Later in life, or a few months later, found out that same girl hung herself from a tree in her family's backyard. And what we learned this week from Pastor Darnell is that when we start, some of y'all, I asked my fellas this, and it seemed like they all got it. And ladies, I'm hoping you got the same thing. I kept asking them, what did you get out of last night? What did you get? And they kept telling me over and over again, I realize now that it's a spirit. What's a spirit? That anger is a spirit. I realize now that lust after a woman that's not your wife or a man that's not your husband, it's a spirit. In other words, when you go home off this mountain, what you're dealing with is not flesh and blood. In other words, when that man approaches you and says, hey, baby, let's holler, or that girl approaches you and says, hey, let's do the thing, the reality of it is you're no longer seeing the person, you're seeing the spirit behind that person.